Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I've been trying to do this video for a couple of weeks now, and Infinite Light did a wonderful video about the flood and how that couldn't have possibly been the true source, that it had to have been someone else. And I'll put the link down below to her video because it's very good for those of you who are recognizing the real history and the real truth of what the source is and how that source is about love, all about love. And even the Bible says God is love. But I think religions kind of miss the point on that. I really do. My humble opinion. So I want to talk about empathy. And I'm here at the Webster's Dictionary, the definition of empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And I know everybody probably thinks they have empathy. So I want to just cover a few things about empathy and lack of. Now, first of all, I wanted to go and talk about a Watchtower. I grew up in the Watchtower organization and was in it for 49 years, pretty much most of my life. And they always push the idea, don't feel sorry, don't feel empathy for those that were divinely executed. And that's what got me to thinking about Infinite Light is video, is don't feel sorry for those that died in the flood. They were a wicked generation. Well, it's hard to imagine that every single man, woman, and child on this earth was that wicked that they had to be destroyed. Something else is going on in that story. And I think all of us would be wise to, just stop and think about this. But most religions, I think, destroy our empathy. Or at least try their best to destroy it, And I'm going to cover some of this, and I'm going to be focusing on, Watchtower, because that's what I grew up in. But I do know that many other cultures, no matter what the beliefs and cultures in general, that's what they do. Don't grieve. Don't mourn those divinely executed. Don't feel sorry for this. Don't feel sorry for that. It's all designed to destroy our empathy. And so I just want to cover a few things. Okay, now I want to thank Atlantis very much. Boy, is he good. He sent me these Watchtowers, and I want to read, it's the same, but one is from the regular Watchtower and the other is from the simplified. So I've got the bond volume here. This is the 2014 bond volume. And I want to go to the November 15th, 2014, page 14, paragraph 5, and I'm going to read this. A heart-rending experience for Aaron's family is recorded at Leviticus 10, 1 through 11. They must have been devastated when fire from heaven consumed Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, at the tabernacle. What a test of faith it was for Aaron and his family not to mourn their dead relatives. Are you personally proving yourself holy with regard to not associating with family members or others who have been disfellowshipped? See, and that's the thing, is they destroy this empathy, because how can a Jehovah's Witness family member conscientiously shun another family member? Do you think the governing body has empathy? No. They could care less that they are destroying families. They have no empathy. And Infinite Light just did another video yesterday. And it's like, oh my goodness, we're on the same page. Because yes, they're destroying empathy. Now I want to go to the simplified edition of that same magazine because it says something totally different. Basically the same, I guess, but it's worded differently. It's stronger. So let me read this. November 15th, 2014, simplified edition, page 16, paragraph 5. At Leviticus 10, 1 through 11, we read about a situation that caused Aaron's family extreme pain. Now notice they use the words extreme pain, whereas in the regular edition they say must have been devastated. But now the simplifying is saying extreme pain. Jehovah sent fire from heaven to destroy Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu. God then told Aaron and his family that they could not show their grief in any way. What a test of faith. Are you proving yourself holy by not associating with family members or others who are disfellowshipped? See, that's a much stronger paragraph than what was in the regular edition. And I mean, they even said, this just says, when fire from heaven consumed, whereas this, it says, Jehovah sent fire from heaven to destroy Aaron's sons. See, and the point I'm trying to make is if the true God or goddess or energy, whatever you want to believe, if that true source is really a God of love, couldn't kill anyone. Couldn't kill anyone. I don't care how angry. Okay, now think about this for a minute. As imperfect people, could you actually kill a disobedient child? The Old Testament tells that if you have a disobedient child, to stone them. I can't even imagine doing something like that. I couldn't. Now getting back to Watchtower doesn't want you to grieve for those divinely executed. Oh, don't feel sorry for them. Don't grieve. You know, and that article I just read, that paragraph, is actually saying don't grieve for your disfellowship family, and especially if they're destroyed at Armageddon. Don't grieve for any of your family. Shun them. It's just not reasonable. And no empathy. No empathy. And I think that is why all of these old patriarchal religious systems are failing. Because most of us who are vibrating higher are realizing, you know what? That just doesn't cut it anymore. I refuse to believe that old way. Now I just wanted to mention something else. I went to the reasoning book. Now this is in several other of their literature, but I just wanted the reasoning book here. And I actually found the Encyclopedia Britannica 1910 to 1911 online. And it basically says the same thing, because there's a lot of dots in here, and that always gets my hackles up, and it's like, okay, what are they saying? But it basically says it's the same thing. They just kind of edited out some descriptions of pagan customs and Catholic Church beliefs and stuff like that. But here on page 180, what underlies holidays in memory of the spirits of the dead? Now, the Catholic Church used to celebrate, most of them, some still do. It's called All Souls Day, usually about November 2nd or 3rd. Many other cultures celebrate a Day of the Dead. Here in the Southwest, the Hispanics celebrate the Day of the Dead. Now this isn't worship of the dead. That is a huge misunderstanding. So I'll read this. The 1910 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica states, All Souls Day, the day set apart in the Roman Catholic Church for the commemoration of the faithful departed. The celebration is based on the doctrine that the souls of the faithful, which at death have not been cleansed from venial sins and have not atoned for past transgressions, cannot attain the beatific vision, and that they may be helped to do so by prayer and by the sacrifice of the Mass. ... Certain popular beliefs connected with All Souls Day are of pagan origin and immemorial antiquity. Thus, the dead are believed by the peasantry of many Catholic countries to return to their former homes on All Souls Night and partake of the food of the living. Now, in the encyclopedia, they also mention that Luther basically in the Catholic Church got rid of the All Souls Day. But like I said, some still celebrate that, especially here in the Southwest. You know, New Mexico's a big Catholic state, and so they still celebrate the All Souls Day or Day of the Dead. Okay, now the next paragraph, it says the Encyclopedia Americana. Elements of the customs connected with Halloween can be traced to a Druid ceremony in pre-Christian times. The Celts had festivals for two major gods, a sun god and a god of the dead, whose festival was held on November 1st. Okay, so All Souls Day, November 2nd, 3rd, this one November 1st. See a theme here about the same time? Okay, the next one. The book, The Worship of the Dead, points to the origin. The mythologies of all the ancient nations are interwoven with the events of the deluge. ... The force of this argument is illustrated by the fact of the observance of a great festival of the dead in commemoration of the event, not only by nations more or less in communication with each other, but others widely separated both by the ocean and by centuries of time. This festival is moreover held by all on about the very day on which, according to the Mosaic account, the deluge took place, the 17th day of the 7th month, the month nearly corresponding with our November. So the end of November, Halloween, October 31st to November 3rd. All of these festivals, celebrations are held about the same time. It's not worship of the dead. I believe they're right. These ancient people were trying to commemorate and hold a memorial for all of those supposedly divinely executed. That is in the memory of the history that something happened, and they feel sorry for these people. I do too. Being an empath the past couple of years has been very difficult because I feel all the death going on. I feel it. And it's very difficult. I feel sorry. You know, I feel grief. I feel empathy for all the families. When I hear something sad, I cry. See, that's empathy. Now, I just happened to go to Google, and I did the causes of lack of empathy. And I thought this was interesting. And I'm going to put the link down below to both of these psychology websites. Now, the types of empathy, number one is cognitive empathy, which is the type of this empathy is an intellectual understanding of someone else's feelings. It's the ability to consider other perspectives without sensing or experiencing them yourself. Okay, number two, affective or emotional empathy. People who have emotional empathy tend to feel another person's emotions, although not always the case. This may also include physical sensations consistent with such emotion. Compassionate empathy or empathetic concern. Compassionate empathy is a combination of cognitive and emotional empathy. You recognize and understand another person's emotions and also feel them. Not everyone develops all three of these type of empathies. And then they go on to talk about low empathy, lack of empathy. Now, I wanted to mention over on this other website, study.com, lack of empathy can be from genetics, environment, disease, and trauma. Well, when you are in a religion, aka cult, that is environment and trauma. Look at every single one of us has suffered some kind of trauma, whether it's spiritual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. I mean, there's a whole list of abuses that you get within these environments of these religions, and it causes trauma. So I can, easily understand, empathize with the ones who don't develop empathy. Now, the very first one under the 6 signs of low empathy. Number 1, being critical and judgmental. People who have low empathy may excessively criticize other people for experiencing or expressing emotions in certain scenarios. Someone with a lack of empathy may also blame the person for what they're experiencing. For example, they may say things like, if you didn't do these things, you wouldn't be in trouble now. And that right there brings up a good point. I had a whole stack of emails that I was going to read. But you know what? There's so much negativity and hate in there, I'm not going to. But you can pretty well guess what most of them say. You're demonic. You're going to hell. You better hope Jehovah God only destroys people. If he puts you in hell for being a heretic, you're in trouble. See it? You better submit to Jesus Christ or you're going to hell. I have no fear. I don't believe in hell. And the thing is how can a God of love condone hell? Obviously, he condones it or he allows it in the torture. If you believe in hell, it's like then you don't believe in a true God of love. It's physically impossible. Talk about, conflicted beliefs in your mind, in your own mind. So either Satan in charge of hell either works for God or God allows him that control. It's that simple. Now there's other signs here that you can read. Number 5, often low empathy may result in a person not realizing that their actions can affect others. Other times they may understand that their behavior impacts other people, but they may not feel remorseful about that. And we've seen it the past, 9-10 months here in the XJW community of someone doing something and not taking responsibility for their actions or understanding, having empathy for how it affects others, especially CSA victims, when they look to that person to be their savior. So you see how this works. And I thought that's why, this is so good, because all of us, and it's not a permanent situation, all of us can work on having more empathy towards others, putting ourselves in their place, understanding. Now there's a difference between speaking out against hypocrisy or something you see wrong, something like that. But you can still do it in a kind and loving way. Down here, causes of low empathy, personality and developmental disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder. So you get the picture. Like I said, I'll put the link down below to both of these. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And thank you everyone for your emails and comments and your cards. We really appreciate all of the love and, support that you give us. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I love you all. Bye.